Welcome to the UDP broadcast, a podcast where a group of friends get together and talk about gaming related topics and offer both informed and uninformed opinions. I'm Luminary and I'm accompanied today by the world's best barcode, Jaime.
Aw, thanks. Hello.
It's going to be Jaime and myself tonight in episode 42, the comeback episode. So
Yes.
sit back and enjoy the show.
And just a quick reminder for everyone listening out in podcast land. All the 10% of all the bits, donations, channel subs, all that stuff, any revenue that gets generated goes over to the Trevor Project. And the mission of the Trevor Project is to end suicide among gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and questioning young people. And also, just a quick reminder, this is an opinion show, and our opinion does not reflect official company policies or views. In other words, we're poor, we have uninformed opinions, and please don't sue us.
Indeed. So, let's get into it. One I want to start off with is the Deltaforce topic. I've never played the series, but you seem pretty enthused about it, so I wanted to hear more about it and your thoughts about what's going on with that.
So, my Deltaforce discs are sitting on my shelf beside me. I have the original Deltaforce and the expansion. I thoroughly enjoyed the game, and to see that, yes, it's Tencent or a subsidiary thereof, but to see them trying to bring that back, that is pretty cool. I really missed that game. It had some really cool mods to it, and it just felt more realistic than, say, Call of Duty. Call of Duty's always been a fantasy shooter. Whether or not people like to admit it, it is. And Delta Force always felt real. The gunplay felt phenomenal. When you aimed your M203 on, when it slapped on the underside of your M4, you knew that you were angling up like 45 degrees to get the longest distance. You could basically judge those shots really, really well. The mechanics were great, and overall the gameplay was a lot of fun. But unfortunately, it ran on the GameSpy network, so it kind of died when GameSpy died.
Oh, that's sad. I remember GameSpy.
Don't we all? Sad face.
Sad face indeed. So I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about all of these revivals. I think this one is done by was it
Team
Teamy?
U. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think my introduction into multiplayer warfare type games was Battlefield 2.
Okay.
And that was a lot of fun. I had so much fun with the game. Like I intentionally went out and bought one of those big fat joysticks with the top hat on it and everything. You know what I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about, right? Just so I
Yep.
could like become a great helicopter pilot. Like it was a thing. I absolutely loved that game, from sneak attacks to flying the helicopters and using the helicopter as a as a giant ballistic, which was kind of cool. Just but there's also other aspects to it, like finding the best place to snipe. Um, it was a lot of fun, but and I remember they kind of killed that. They had that free to play Battlefield, and then they did Battlefield 3.
Yeah,
Battlefield.
so I played Battlefield 1942, uh, Battlefield 2, Battlefield 2142. I didn't get a copy of Battlefield 3 because that was console only, and then I stopped playing Battlefield after that pretty much. So I think 21. Oh no, I also had what was it, the Vietnam version?
Mm.
Battlefield 2 Vietnam, I think it was. Oh man, that's going back.
Yeah. Well, I remember picking up Battlefield 3 when it was released because I remember all the good feels I had in Battlefield 2 and some of the stuff that they were showing. Like, do you remember any of the pilot material they had for that on YouTube ads or TV or anything like that?
Um, kind of.
So it had to deal with the campaign. They actually had a campaign in it, and they were going through and they were doing the going down the alleyways, like there was populated and there was all kinds of cool stuff going on, and somewhere in there, after a large firefight, a building comes down on them, and it looked really cool. And they were selling the whole game based on their new Frostbite engine, which I
I remember that engine.
yes. So I mean, it looked really cool, and I was all hyped for it. And I actually got to play it. The only cool thing about it is that knife kills were canned animations, and then that presented a whole different dynamic because at that point you're pretty much prone to any other attack because you're stuck in the canned animation. So it was a different dynamic. I never got into it, and then of course then the cheaters came. I've
Yeah.
given up faith on Battlefield, but I remember all the feels. That's why I know that you brought this up, and I was like, oh wow, okay. So hopefully, Teamy will do their due diligence and be like, yeah, no, we're totally gonna rock this out and
Hopefully
push it
they'll do
through.
it justice. I really, really hope because it was a great game and it did not deserve the fate it got of just ceasing to exist because nobody at the time had figured out. Well, sorry, that's incorrect. A lot of companies had dedicated servers. However, the creators of uh, Deltaforce, I think it was THQ at the time, they ran it on GameSpy, and they could have had server listeners and done it like Raven Software did with Soldier Fortune 2. Quake servers had a listener service they didn't run on a third party. So it's really unfortunate, and I'm glad most people don't use third parties anymore. But still, it was even the single player was a lot of fun. I think the single player is what I enjoyed the most because it was hard. It wasn't like games these days where you have different uh, difficulty modes. It was just basically here you go, and by the way, it's gonna hurt, and it's gonna hurt a lot.
You have any interesting stories from when you were playing that many moons ago?
Oh my god, I think I was playing that. Oof. Yeah, so I played Delta Force Black Hawk Down Team and Team Saber, and that came. Delta Force came out in '98, and Team Saber came out in 2004. From 2004, I know there was a lot of mods for Team Saber, and some people made some realism mods and did some amazing graphical upgrades and like full overhauls of the game. So it wasn't it was kind of the original game, but it was really really upgraded with better player models, better gun models, sound effects have been improved, like a ton of stuff. Uh, I just remember playing in various servers. The one server I used to play on had all kinds of classes you could play that weren't in the actual game. These were, modded classes, and they were just tons of fun. Being a medic was difficult.
Oh,
It was, yeah, because you had a submachine gun, and you had to basically like crouch beside your person with your medic bag out, hoping the other person wouldn't start moving around. Because the moment they started moving around, it would stop healing. So it's not like you could just run after them like you could in Battlefield 142,
mhm.
like where you can just run around with your med pack healing everybody around you. They actually had to have people hold still, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. That was a good mod.
Good stuff. The healing mechanics in those games really trip me out sometimes. Like I understand, like there's always been self healings, but the moment they added in healing classes inside of these games, they do some interesting stuff. Whether it's you hold the med pack and you come up and you pretty much rub it all over their body and it fixes them, or um, some of the more interesting stuff like Team Fortress 2, the doctor or the medic there, he has
Doctor.
has this Healy gun which does incredible things, and it looks like you're just tethered by this giant slime trail, which is kind of cool. And I think even Overwatch 2 and Overwatch has expanded on that as well because what can you do? There's all kinds of stuff where there's like healing auras and things like that. But medic has always been a fascinating, or just any healer has always been fascinating to try to implement into some of these semi-realistic games with
Mhm.
semi-realistic combat to make it work.
Yeah, and I think it's something that's I've always appreciated is that sort of like you need to pay attention to what you're doing. You need to play properly,
Hmm.
or you're going to screw yourself over type thing.
I think my favorite is the healing bullets. makes friendly fire real friendly.
Who has that?
I can't remember. I think honestly, the game I'm playing right now, Remnant, there is the ability to shoot healing bullets, but
God. Is that single player or multiplayer?
it's multiplayer.
Interesting.
Yep. Um,
I might pick that up later.
yeah.
Won't be picking it up right away because I have stuff coming. Well, more specifically, Raina's coming.
Oh.
Back.
Oh, really? When's she due back?
She will be coming in October because a friend of mine's getting married.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, so she's coming for the wedding, so it'll be fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I
Very,
still.
very, very excited.
Yeah, I still need to plan that trip up there for you, for both of you. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I might have to bring all the childrens with me, so I'll probably have to post
Well,
up somewhere wherever in Canada. So.
in downtown Canada, I'm sure we can find a hotel for
Downtown Canada.
you.
How far is downtown? I don't know. How long is the United States?
I mean, we are a bigger country than you guys.
It's yeah, you are. That's for sure. So yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on the. I'm not going to call it a remake. The whatever they're doing to Delta Force. That hopefully it brings back all the good feels and the tinglies that you get when somebody does a re-release right. You know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
I'm
about?
hoping. I mean, I have, as I've said many, many times, I do have issues with Tencent, but I am hoping that they can get this right.
Hmm.
And I'm hoping Tencent's just funding it and letting Teamy do all the work. And I'm surprised, like I found the article for it,
Hmm.
um, and the author and myself share the same opinion that we're both surprised that they didn't get a THQ property to do the work and instead got this random other developer to do it.
Hmm.
I mean, sure. It's just the only problem with that is now you're, putting an unknown game designer into, into this, and that's a huge set of boots to fill.
Oh yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I'll be looking forward to that one when it comes out.
Oh yeah. And we'll follow up on it after you had your hands on it. So should be
Yep.
fun.
And that
But,
trip down memory lane made me remember two of my favorite games from the 90s,
hmm.
Apache and Hind. They were both helicopter simulators.
Hmm.
And that's actually where I started learning how to fly helicopters because both games were very, very difficult to play. Hind was actually the one of the first games that actually used polygons for the enemy combatants.
Oh wow. So they weren't just like PNGs.
Yeah, they weren't just sprites. Like everything else was just basically square boxes as far as the vehicles went in Apache.
Hmm.
Apache didn't have any people you could fight against, but Hind takes place in the 80s, and you're flying, a Russian Mi-24, and you have cluster bombs or cluster mines that you can drop on Mujahideen guerrillas, and every one of the gorillas is walking, and their entire bodies are made up of polygons. It was one of the more interesting features of that game, and one of the, like I said, one of the very first games that ever used polygons.
Oh
And
yeah.
I'm actually going to put a screenshot picking up some Spetsnaz uh into the chat there, and that's what the games looked like, and that's what the little guys looked like. And yeah, it was a lot of fun playing that game. I really missed that one too.
Let me pick it up. Oh yeah, I remember that style of graphics back when that was high end, and people were like,
I know. Like
"Yeah,
you needed a 3D FX for that shit.
oh yeah, no, I remember that." It's like, runs on Voodoo.
Yeah.
Good old 3D effects. Jeez.
Oh man. I don't even remember the hardware requirements. I think you needed like I had a 486 and it ran on that. I had 8 megs of RAM and I had sound because I had a 1 megabyte video card and I had a dedicated sound card. So,
Hmm.
yeah, you needed at least 1 meg of video RAM. You needed 8 megs of hard drive space or of RAM. You needed like 100 megabytes of hard disk space.
That was a lot back then.
I know.
That was a commitment. That
Yeah.
was
So,
like the turning point where you had a work machine or you had a game machine.
exactly. And so here's the original specs. An Intel 46SX. I had a DX.
Mhm.
So it ran at 33 and 66. 8 megs of RAM minimum, CD-ROM drive that was at least 2x speed, 1 meg video RAM that supported Super VGA or VISA video, any supported sound device. So I mean, if you had a Sound Blaster Pro, you were good.
Hmm.
Uh, Game pads, keyboards. Do you remember Gravis?
Barely.
Yeah, like it supports a Gravis gamepad.
Oh
And
wow.
oh yeah, it also had up to 2 players online through dial-up support.
Ooh, dial-up support. Oh, you're making me
Yep.
feel so old.
And you could get 16 players if you had an IPX LAN.
Oh snap.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun to play that game. Holy crap.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like all this old stuff. You're just talking about the requirements has brought me back to
Like my watch has more processing power.
oh yeah, no, like your watch could run 3 of those. Like, but it's just some of the stuff that just blows my mind now. Like I remember having 32 megs of RAM. 32 megs of RAM, and that was like my upgrade to before I went while I was still playing EverQuest. I was doing it on 16.
Oof.
16 megs. And mind you, the load times were horrendous because it was relying so much on virtual memory, which means it's relying on your hard disk. So that's like the slowest memory you have on your machine. Um, I remember that. And now it's just like people are like, yeah, I got 64 gigabytes of RAM and I've got 4 virtual machines running in the background. Probably like it's insane now what we're doing with the technology. But I remember back then that was a big deal, and it was all expensive. And I had a
Oh,
Celeron
absolutely.
like 333 or something like that.
Yeah, like our first computer was $2,500, and that's the system I'm talking about. It had all of that, like it had a 540 megabyte hard drive, it had 8 megs of RAM, it had the 1 megabyte video card, an 8 times CD-ROM drive.
8 times. I remember that when that made the difference. Like I think before we started moving to DVD, there was like 50x or 48x or something like that printed on each one of the CD ROM drives, and you'd pick
Oh
up.
yeah,
This is well,
no, those were the days back then.
oh yeah, oh yeah. When 1 megabit per second was a
Oof.
big deal from your cable provider because DSL was not a thing.
Yeah, that's absolutely going back a few years.
Just a few,
Not
just a
to
few.
age ourselves or anything.
Yeah, well, that's all right. Speaking of walking down memory lane, GTA 5.
Hmm.
Apparently, Take Two has taken to taking down a mod for GTA 5 that introduced more dynamic dialogue for the NPCs in the game.
Yeah, it was up on Nexus mods,
Hmm.
and it was called Sentient Streets. It was a story-based GTA 5 mod, created by a veteran modder. And yeah, apparently Take Two's lawyers didn't like that. Apparently, Block, the creator of the mod, put a statement on YouTube that was shared with Eurogamer, basically detailing how initially the video about this mod and the installation guide on Netlify were removed without warning by Take Two, and then his mod was removed from Nexus Mods due to a DCMA takedown. And the worst part is, nobody from Take Two contacted him and asked him anything about it. And they were just like, nope, take all this shit down. And, this person was not exactly happy. It was very disheartening for them. And it would have been nice had Take Two at least reached out and been like, hey, this is in violation. But you just like cold shoulder take it all down. It's kind of like, what did I do wrong?
Yeah, well, I mean, Grand Theft Auto is their product. They can do whatever they want with it, I guess, and it's not fair. He feels picked on. I'm really curious of really what the reasoning is behind it, because what he did was he made the streets a bit more alive with the sound of Chat GPT, and that's pretty cool. I like that. And I
Yeah.
mean, considering like most of the streets have the same dialogue from the same type of NPC all the time. Hey, watch where you're going. Go fuck yourself. Like just random dialogue. um, aside from the scripted events from all your missions. I like the idea. I like the idea that they're adding in that type of interaction inside of games for as much shit as we talk about AI on the Paintwater Tea House and even our own server. Um, it's there's a level of immersion there that makes sense, and I would have loved to hear something else other than the same 32 phrases that were pre-recorded for all NPCs running around in an area. So,
Yeah, and the worst thing in all of this is they never explained what the takedown was for, so the modder is just left speculating as to what the problem was. And if it's like a problem with the fact that they played GTA 5, it's like, well, okay, there are how many countless videos out there of people playing GTA 5. So why is it all of a sudden a big issue? Like, something doesn't add up. And then to also sit there and be like, we'll just take it down, no explanation, and then just ignore any request for comment.
yeah,
It's like, wow, that's the worst part. So the only thing that the developer can think of is that they didn't like the mod itself. And normally when you get takedown notices, and I've had no DMCA's, but I've had content ID claims, they tell you what the problem is. But since they didn't tell him what the problem is, he figures it was actually done deliberately and by hand, basically.
I wonder if in making that mod he discovered something that wasn't supposed to get out. Because typically they're examining what's in memory most of the time because the video game companies aren't going to release their source code for their game.
Hmm.
So I'm wondering if he stumbled upon something that they didn't want out and could potentially affect like multiplayer.
It's very possible, yeah.
So, and that's the only thing I could think of. I mean, we had something similar, 2 weeks ago with Zelda. Um, it wasn't Tears of the Kingdom. It was Breath of the Wild, where that one YouTuber added in multiplayer support for Breath of the Wild, and Nintendo just destroyed him.
Yeah, and when you take a stance like that, I have to sit there and like shake my head in disbelief because it's like you've got people dedicated to your game who love it and are trying to make something out of it, make it even better than it is, and you're just gonna shit on it. It's like, oh, okay, thanks, I guess.
Well, I would like to see more of that type of thing happening inside of the games that we play. Have you seen some of the videos where they have, what was it, more real conversations with companions in Skyrim?
No.
So they have modded in a companion in Skyrim and allowed it to be more freeform when you talk to it. You can actually talk to it with your voice. It like picks up your microphone and everything else in response.
Creepy. Go on.
Yeah, but it's not just like your standard, AI responses. It talks shit to you. Like, I'm gonna be the best archer in the world. It's like, yeah, but you got to hit that thing first, so that even happens. Like, it talks shit to you as you're adventuring through the world of Skyrim. Kind of want to try it. It looks pretty boss, and see what kind of effects I have. I can't imagine talking to a computer or anything, but well, I guess I'm talking to a computer now. So
I
I had
mean,
to,
technically, yes.
yeah, potato, right? So I want to see more of that. It's a shame that this modder got taken down. And the thing about modding, we even talked about this too, is that they're doing it just because they're not making any money off of this. They're doing it for the love of enhancing the game and enhancing the community. I mean, remember when VR chat exploded when they took out a lot of the mod support?
Yep.
Yeah, like there's a lot of things that goes on with modding that is all quality of life improvements or extra content or anything along those lines, depending on if the developer has released their own developer tools to have you do it, or if the modder makes their own and modifies memory. Like it's an incredible thing, and I love the folks that do it. But yeah, so I wish that guy luck. I hope Take Two's like, oh shit, we did wrong. Quick, undNCA them. Which idiot did that? Send them off to the grinder. Whatever it may be. Like,
To the meat grinder.
yeah. So I hope that happens because I don't see any reason why that's a thing unless something else was revealed. Because if I remember correctly, the source code's open. It was on GitHub, wasn't it? Let me look at
I
that
have
article
no
real quick.
idea.
Let me look. I can tell you. GTA early this week. Same share on YouTube. No reason. Nope, 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 nope. Knowing large corporation take you down. Not fighting it because he doesn't, he doesn't have that kind of money, and it's just easier to let it die.
Hello.
We've been crit chickened. Welcome.
How's it going?
Good.
Yay.
Miss a trip down memory lane with old video games.
That's right. Old.
So old.
How old are we talking?
1998, 95, 2004.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a few years here and there.
Banana Tune says hello, Rena.
How's it going?
We were just about to move on. How'd you do in your raid though? Before we go.
Uh, we did good. We ended up getting squashed by the boss that likes launching shadow crashes and like sapping mana and stuff like that. We progressed past Razor Scale, killed Crazy Cat Lady, killed Freya, killed
You're an Oldwar.
oh yeah, Thorim. It's funny because they were referring to Thorim as Thorium. I was like, there's no there's Thorim. We did
Yeah, but
Hodier.
thorium sounds more entertaining though, right?
Yeah, but you're dealing with Serenite and from the Varax dude. I got top heals on pretty much all the boss fights.
Did you
We
get
wiped.
fat loots?
I mean, I got a ring upgrade.
Oh, tell us about the
Nice.
ring.
It is the one ring to rule them all. Actually, it's called the Ring of the Faithful Servant.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she's already got the one ring.
And now she has two. Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I was number 1 heals on Freya, Araya, Thorim, Hodier. A lot of people, honestly, but
Very nice. Well, congratulations. I'm glad it was awesome. Just about to touch in on Alan Wake 2. Have you ever played the Alan Wake series?
I heard about it, but I haven't played it.
Yeah, I've heard
I
about
play
it
World
too.
of Warcraft. That's pretty much it. I keep it simple.
So, Alan Wake 2 is delayed 10 further days for release. And we're seeing a lot of this more often than not now, where games are like, we've set a release day, and then they find out some larger or some different or some adjacent games are being released in the same week or in the same day, and they push it back a week to give folks time to digest their new games.
Yeah, I think it's a good concept. It's something that's been needed for a while, and I think it helps both the publisher the developer and the consumer because the publisher's no longer competing, the developer's no longer competing with another big release, and the fans don't have to like cram down a ton of games all at once in the hopes of being able to finish playing this one game or whatever before the next one comes out.
Yep, there was a whole list of stuff here that they were trying to avoid. Had been due on October 17th, 3 days before the release of Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation 5, Super Mario Wonder, Nintendo Switch. And just moving it, I think, 10 days, but it still puts it within days of City Skylines 2, Metal Gear Solid Master Collection, and
Yep.
Assassin's Creed Mirage and Lords of the Fallen are both due release earlier in the month. So October is like a bang up month for game releases. Like I'm actually kind of tingly thinking about all the fancy things that are coming our way. Some of them I want to play, some of them I can't, like Spider-Man 2, because I don't have a PS5.
Aw,
I
we'll
know.
have to acquire one.
I don't want to confuse it with
Me?
my router.
I mean, I have a PS5 and an Xbox X. But you're like, I don't play console.
I do not.
Bleh. How dare.
Well, I do dare.
How dare.
Do dare,
Very
do dare,
simply.
do dare, do dare. Perfect.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Sometimes you just have to make up words or sounds that resemble words.
I do that all the time. So yeah, I think that this strategy is pretty good, but October's so packed. I think they just got to get it out because they got to make money on the product, and that's fine. And Alan Wake, I hear, was a really good uh, game all the way around as far as like a thriller type. But there's also they're actually adding in survival horror elements inside of Alan Wake 2. So I'm kind of interested to see what the feedback on that's going to be. Not much for survival horror. You can barely get me to play 7 Days to Die, right? Um, or Project Zomboid. I picked that up. I was like, oh, this is nice. Never played it again.
Yeah, same with me. I mean, I like watching people play it. I am just not good at the game, so it's like, I lose interest in it quickly because I'm not good at all.
You know, the one that I've actually been watching that I thought was really cool, and I was introduced to him through my research in RimWorld, and then found out that he does stuff with Spiff.
Hmm.
There was an
Oh, Ambiguous Amphibian?
ambiguous amphibian. He has a lot of great stories. Like I think I found him in my Kenshi series too, where he plays as Tor Solo.
Yes,
So,
the Tor Solo adventure.
which is great. This is
Yes.
a great way to tell a story. But
You had a train of thought that just died, didn't it?
yeah, it went over. I told you my brain has the derp tonight. Derpy derp.
It's all good.
Well, but is Pluto a planet?
Yes.
Yes.
I don't care what astronomical society bullshit, the International Astronomical Union's 2006 decision. I don't care about that. It is still a goddamn planet, and thankfully, the developers of Starfield understand this and have listed it as the ninth planet of our solar system. Fuck you, nerds.
Well, I think it's.
Science hippies.
I know that they are boasting like thousands of worlds or something like that inside of this game, and I'm kind of curious how that's actually going to pan out. There was already something in the news about them when they were determining when we were actually going to make it to Mars. It was like 2030, somewhere mid 2030s. But this is kind of interesting how they're kind of turning it on their head and bringing it closer to home as opposed to um, something way far off like Fallout in a post-apocalyptic world where everything is just been irradiated and mutated, or Skyrim, which is not even taking place in our reality. So I like how they're bringing it closer to home with this one and the
Mhm.
time, because I mean 2030 is not too far out there as far as like what we're doing. So I'm really curious how they're actually going to pull this off. But yeah, um, Pluto is a planet. I've always thought it was a planet. I remember being in school. I was kind of disheartened. Was it 2006 when they changed that?
Yep.
2006.
T-
I got
Sorry, go
the
ahead.
news. I got the news. It was like Pluto is not a planet. I was like, what are you even talking about?
Yeah, of course it's a planet, you assholes. Just because you guys have found a fuck ton of other planets out there and couldn't be bothered to acknowledge that yes, there's other planets that might be slightly bigger, but for the fuck's sakes, we're gonna keep it. I don't care. It's a goddamn planet. Always has been. Always will be.
Yeah. On that article in GameSpot, there was a link to a Wikipedia page how they classify all of it, and they have this
Ugh.
weird like rounded box Venn diagram looking thing. Like here, I'm gonna drop this into the Twitch chat here real quick. This is the IAU's definition of what a planet is. In the top of the page, you'll see the weird square Venn diagram.
Oh god.
Like
Ew, gross. What the hell?
it looks like something from Snake.
Yes. That's exactly what it reminds me of. This is no longer like science shit. This is like snack.
Snack. I'm glad there's somebody out there classifying it so that way you're never confused about what you're talking about. But I'm gonna take the Jerry the Jerry approach, and Pluto is a planet. Period.
Absolutely.
Yep.
If you can't handle that, get off my planet.
Yes.
I hear Elon Musk is trying to throw people up into outer space, and you should probably go join them.
There we go. Yeah. That's that's a whole different conversation. This isn't even on our list. But what the hell? Like okay, so I want you to take notes when it comes to the muskrat
Hmm.
that this is all centered around Twitter. He's not doing that to Tesla. He's not doing that to SpaceX.
No.
Nobody has a problem with either of those businesses. But all of a sudden, Twitter is just, I don't know what it's doing.
So the man has probably the most fragile ego I've ever seen. So, so one thing I've noticed is that the richer you are, the more prone you are to A, outbursts, and B, having a fragile ego that is easily bruised. And for the longest time, he was decrying all these bots and whatever on Twitter. And then when he bought Twitter, one of his own engineers said, "It's not an issue with engagement. It's an issue with people don't want to engage, so they put you on block." And of course, the guy got fired, and that's when the muskrat got very, very well known for firing people who didn't give him the exact answer he wanted in the way he wanted. It's like, okay, well, you're firing people for giving you the correct answer, and you don't like that. That is a red flag. I don't care who you are. That is a giant red flag that tells me you're a petulant man child.
Mm. Yep.
I will always think that he is because he's such a douche.
Yeah, I swear to you, he's doing this as a tax write-off. He made a terrible purchase, and
Well,
he doesn't want to deal with it.
probably, but I mean, the other problem is he didn't spend $44 billion of his own money. It's financed with the assistance of outside parties, and that happens to be part of that financing happens to be the Royal Saudi Investment Fund, which is run by the Saudi government, the royal family. And a lot of Middle Eastern countries do not like Twitter.
Mm.
It is a well known fact. They hate it because it has led to uprisings, e.g., the Arab Spring uprising, which toppled more than one dictator, stares and Gaddafi and laughs. um, but yeah, so it's been a tool that has organized a lot of change. It helped the Orange Revolution in Ukraine when they decided that having a Russian favoriting president was a terrible idea, so they ousted him. It helped helped organize protests in Hong Kong and around the world. And you have all these dictators who absolutely hate it, and they of course don't want people to have a means of organizing. And the easiest way to do that is go for social media tools. So my tinfoil hat says, part of the deal for the purchase was to essentially find a way to destroy it and shut it down so that it can't be used against people who wouldn't want it used against them. I mean, yes, that's my tinfoil hat, but it doesn't leave me with much of a other, thought process to go with that.
Yeah. No, I'm on board. I don't know what's going on right now. I've just got the popcorn ready. I'm like, okay, well, this is like so. I think the last big thing that I remember seeing, and it was almost like a 3 week saga of Mark Zuckerberg wanting to fight in the ring with Elon Musk, and
Well, more Muskrat wanted to fight him.
mm,
He was like, "No." And then all of a sudden he was like, "Sure, I'll fight you." And Muskrat's like, "No, my mom says I can't."
I'm grounded. My mom said,
But apparently he is now, threatened or commented or even said he's going to show up at Zuckerberg's house
Mhm.
and fight him. There's one problem. I'm pretty sure the most lifting that Musk does is with a burger, and at least um, Zuckerberg, works out and trains, and apparently he's into MMA stuff training,
Mhm.
allegedly. So you get someone who at most lifts a burger to their face to fight, and you have someone who actually has a proper workout regimen and training. Who do you think's gonna win?
I think the Zuck's gonna rip off his arm and beat him to death with it.
I
I'm a
hope
Blizzard
so.
fan.
Sorry, we can barely hear you.
The lizard man.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, it's a class trait. So, what was
I
this
really
race
hope
trait?
he just chokes on a pretzel.
Which one?
D- either. Like, I've noticed when you get super rich, you become super out of touch with everything and you become a super douche. So take your pick.
Pretty much your worth ends up being based on how much your name actually leaves people's mouths. And, well, here we did it. We made them some dollars. Way to go. Just add some Jeffrey Bezos in there. Maybe he'll throw some dollars our way.
Hey, leave Bezos out of it.
Jeffrey Bezos.
I haven't started on him yet, but give me time.
Born in 1964, Jeffrey Bezos.
Yes. I remember
Fuck.
hearing that. It's a song. I remember hearing it on TikTok. I forgot which TikToker I was watching, but yeah, no,
Come on, Jeffrey, you can do it. There's nothing to it. What is it? Something Zuckerberg can fucking suck it.
I-
Yeah,
I mean, that's funny to me.
you're gonna have to listen to the song. I'm gonna corrupt you.
absolutely
Yeah.
should. All the corruption.
I mean, that wouldn't be the first time I've been corrupted by someone or something. So,
It's okay.
I'm sure it'll be fine. What's the worst that could happen?
Copyright strikes, DMCA's. Who knows?
He's nuts.
Yes, these nuts. Well,
Got him.
anything else you want to talk about? Anything going on that you want to talk about, Crit?
Not really. I mean, I've been kind of aloof.
Loof. Yeah,
Aloof.
we burned through the four major topics that we came through here. Added in some Twitler and Zucker Droid and
Zucker Droid.
So I don't care if it's a shorter podcast. So let's just get our round table. Well, I miss Cajun, damn it.
Where is he?
He wore himself out. Today was a deadlift competition.
Oh, talk
So
about a real burnout.
yeah. Well, I mean, apparently he did really good. In dim gains, he actually put in some updates and whatnot. His workout uniform looks like Mario, but yeah, no, like he did the things and he didn't. What did it say? It says sad news. Failed all three of my deadlifts, not because of the weight. I cleaned all the way up to 370. However, I missed up on some technical parts like feet movement. So he's pretty much chalked it up. I need more practice, and I'm proud of him, dude. Like, you ever listen to this, Cajun? You know,
Yay.
Absolutely. He
Better
lifts
than what
more
I
than
can
I
do.
can, so
that's right. I just had a shortcut where you're talking about the most you lift is a wine glass.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, I just lifted it.
Let's see.
Effortlessly. You didn't hear a struggle at all, people.
No, absolutely not. I am pro at lifting a wine glass.
Okay, so Grit, what you got going this week other than work and WoW?
Probably saying goodbye to one of my jobs.
Oh, which one? Well, I mean, don't dox yourself, but never mind.
The job that pays less.
Oh, that's a good choice.
Yes. Yes. Hi, my name is Doxy.
Go away, Boxy. You're a dead meme, damn it.
Barcode, what you got going on?
Other than work, not much. Well, I mean, aside from, waiting impatiently for Crit to come down.
Yay.
Waiting impatiently.
Yes. There's patient waiting, and then there's me. I am not patient. I am impatiently waiting.
Indeed. Okay. On my side, I've kind of picked up my streaming schedule again. Cajun and I are doing, what the hell is it called? Soul Link Nuzlocke with Pokemon Fire Red. And it's been quite an adventure, so keep an eye out on my shorts. I have the full VOD up on YouTube. I just haven't released it yet, so I'll probably do that tomorrow while I'm working on processing this podcast. Playing Remnant from the Ashes, which has been an absolute adventure. I love it so much. probably going to work through the rest of the Remnant series. I know 2 is out and they've made some changes. I know Perfect World did the first one, but I believe it is Gearbox did the second one. So Gearbox is also the publisher behind what was that game called? Borderlands.
Yes.
And
Now,
Borderlands is a
the big
fantastic
question I
adventure.
have
Mhm.
is does Tiny Tina show up?
That would be an awesome crossover.
Yes, it would.
And I wish her game was much better, though.
I have yet to buy it, so
Well,
I can't comment on it yet.
well, good. I was excited for it because she was such a personality, and she is. Like, it's effectively a D&D story with guns, but you have to suffer through the combat parts. And it's a shooting game. Like, why should I have to suffer through the combat parts?
Because you just said it's a shooting game.
Well, when I say suffer, I'm not talking like, oh no, I actually have to play a first-person shooter. I'm talking like, oh my God, this feels terrible. I hate the encounters. It's not optimized. Why am I getting like 15 frames a second? Like that bad.
Oof.
Yeah. So it's more of a technical why, not a I don't like first-person shooters. I don't mind first-person shooters. There's a lot of fun. So,
Yeah,
for,
but still, that's kind of bad if you're like, if you feel like you have to slog through it, that's a problem.
yeah, like I said, I was slogging through it for the dialogue, which is an interesting
Uh,
turn of events because normally when you get a video game that is like this, sometimes the dialogue is garbage, but the gameplay is great. Kind of like Bulletstorm was intentionally tongue-in-cheek, terrible dialogue.
oh yeah. I was like, that game sounds familiar. Have I ever played that? Yes, you've been my backpack several times on that game.
Backpack, backpack.
It's for the type of game it is a lot of janky fun. Like it is an absolutely broken game in that it's not an easy game to play, which is something I do appreciate. But it's also just very strange sometimes.
Mother
It really
Gunship?
is a. Oh, sorry. I'm thinking you're saying Bulletstorm. I'm thinking Mother Gunship.
But that's also another great game too, with the terrible dialogue but great gameplay.
Yes, absolutely. I do enjoy its insanity.
Hmm. Indeed, Bulletstorm was the one with like the terrible dialogue with the weird amalgamations of uh, insults. Like I can't think of one right now. Don't you hate that? You like have a thought. I've been like this all night, people. No thoughts have been completed here.
No
So
thoughts, only empty space.
yes, that's right. Insert Dankwart meme here. So, but yep, that's pretty much me. I'm taking the second half of September off, so I'm gonna work on a few things then. The kids will be in school, and I think the wife is going out of town, so we'll see what comes up with that. I'll spend that time enriching myself and doing interesting things, and keep an eye on Twitter for the garbage that I create, so that way you can tell me how great it is, or how great it's not, or not tell me anything at all. So, other than that, we'll be back. You guys available next week? Anything going on?
Nothing that I know of yet. But that doesn't mean nothing won't happen. I'm just not aware of anything yet.
Okay, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. If anything comes up, let me know. Other than that, great episode 42 in the bag. Come back next week for episode 43. Keep an eye out on twitter.com. Well, it's still not x.com now, is it?
It
It's just,
is. So x.com does redirect to twitter.com.
really?
And yeah, actually, hang on one. Here,
I gotta see that now.
Yeah, it's funny. Anytime Raina sends me a link, it's always x.com.
Yeah, sure. And it goes back, and it's
Yep.
a redirect to Twitter. Okay,
Yeah.
twitter.com, um,
King hell.
at Luminary Weekly, and we'll keep you up to date. If not, join the Discord server. We're actively. What's up?
What?
What?
What's going on?
Just this Wired. So Wired magazine has a tweet they put up 5 minutes ago. You might not know what nodding is, but OpenAI's GPT-3 certainly does. Oh, ChatGPT has discovered the furry porn.
Oh no.
It's not what you would think. But Oh God.
I have no words. Well,
Um,
and before there are
pain.
words, I'm going to end the podcast and
Pain.
start the post show. All
Oh,
right.
it's Midjourney is
Oh,
the AI that discovered furry porn.
oh God, that'll be incorporated in literally everything.
Yes. I'm gonna go drink heavily now. Good night, everybody.
I can't. I'm healing dungeons. Ah,
Multitasking. I am so jealous of you two. All
what are
right,
you talking about?
marker is placed. Now's the time.